Okay.
I think I think I'll leave that in as the first word. Hello and welcome to One Storyteller, where we're here. We're at the end of the Two Towers. Finally,
That's what a wonderful book.
it has been a lot better than Fellowship of the Ring, and I am curious. I can think of two different reasons for that. Number one, it's kind of been a genre shift from Fellowship in many ways. It's much more personal, I guess. It's much more like small scale and actually involved with the individual characters more than just like a big road trip. So I like that. Also, you've dealt with it was primarily Frodo, Legolas, and Gimli, and then Merry and Pippin, and then Frodo and Sam, instead of being nine people together who are all trying to share screen time for that
Sure
kind of
enough.
area. So that could be one reason I've enjoyed it more. I also did change the way I was taking notes, and I feel like I've gotten less pedantic as I have had to handwrite notes, and it's just not worth me, you know, handwriting all of it. When it was on the computer, I would just type it out and have however many pages of critiques. But here I keep everything to half a page of handwritten stuff, so maybe that makes it better. I don't know. How do you feel about the Two Towers overall?
Hmm.
Do you like it better
Okay.
or worse than Fellowship?
We talked about this before, and it's still something I like. I'm maybe thinking about some more, but the way the Fellowship of the Ring ends is like one of the very few sour notes I have in the series. Um, and it's the biggest one. So the fact that it's in Fellowship of the Ring kind of brings it down a bit. But I still love the first book very much. I think I mentioned before in when we're going through the Fellowship of the Ring, or maybe even some of the early Two Towers chapters, that one of the big differences is your Fellowship of the Ring is covering much more time, much more distance, like you observed, and it also is the most elven book.
Ugh.
They're dealing with elves the most in the Fellowship of the Ring, which is really cool if you know stuff in the Silmarillion, but maybe kind of overwhelming and confusing at times if you don't.
And it's also Elven. I mean, I feel like that's instantly the mark against it. But
That's insane.
I recognize elves have their utility. Even in this chapter, the choices of Master Samwise, elves are very
Yeah.
useful. Excellent. I still don't like them. That's where we end.
It's not. It's Warcraft's fault. It's not Tolkien's fault, Reagan.
Is it though?
I think so.
Is it? I mean, I don't really like elves based on. I think The Witcher has the best representation of them, and that is not a flattering representation of them. But yes, I would. I just dislike elves across the board generally. Understandable. Also, well, there's a mention of a couple of elvish things in this chapter, one of which did stand out to me. So, as we're dealing with this last chapter in the Two Towers, do you like this chapter?
Yeah. It's definitely a cliffhanger ending. I'll have to wait for a while to have that resolved. Um, One of the greatest, one-on-one battles I think you have in the series. It's pretty dramatic.
It's
Um,
something.
okay, well, I guess we'll talk about it. You hater.
um, Not a hater, just an observer.
Okay. And you get to see, there's a lot of interesting things in it. We get to very neat introspective moments from Sam. Um, and we get uh, sort of like the Urukai chapter in the first half of the book. You get to see just how nasty orcs are. Yeah. It's like they're friends, but not really. Not really.
They've got an interesting dynamic. I'll give you that one. Although the
Yeah.
names Shagrat and Gorbag are great.
Yes.
You played the Lord of the Rings or the Lego Lord of the Rings, right?
Hmm.
I'm a big fan of playing. I believe you get Shagrat to accompany Sam for the Shelob boss fight because Frodo's out of it. So
Yes, that's right.
they work him into it somehow, so you can play two players. Fantastic. I don't
I do
remember what
remember.
happens. I imagine Shagrat has to die because otherwise, why would he let Sam go? Rip.
I don't remember.
Rip. I'd have to go back and play it. So, this is a chapter that spans all of uh, a few minutes. There's also Sam sleeps for a bit, so I guess there is a few hours of interlude in there. But we left off the last chapter with Sam fought Gollum off, but Shelob got Frodo. And so you open this chapter with Sam running up to Shelob and Frodo to fight Shelob. And this chapter ends with Sam knocking himself out against a gate, as has been mentioned a couple times before. He makes it out of Shelob's lair up to the gates of the orc place, which is that Kirith Ungol? Is that the name of the tower?
Yes, that's the name of the tower.
Okay. So Sam makes it up to there. Frodo also kind of makes it up to there. I guess that's the spoiler for the chapter, but
Yeah.
um,
Sam hits the gates. Uh, Frodo gets inside.
yeah. All you had to do was pretend to be dead. Who knew? Incredible show. So that's
Well,
basically the entire plot. You're back. That's basically the whole plot of the chapter. Most of this is in Sam's head, I think, and getting a description from Sam as to what he's thinking and feeling. He does a lot of talking to himself about
yes.
how he feels about this horrible situation he's been handed. Um, and so I think that's really the primary focus of the chapter. It's Sam's character
Yeah.
development.
But I think that's so.
So opening the chapter, Shelob has Frodo. Frodo is at least halfway wrapped up. So Sam attacks Shelob with Sting and the flashlight that he has from the elves. Those are
Mhm.
very useful. Sam gets underneath her. He stabs her. She stabs herself. She runs away. That's basically
Wow.
the Shelob fight.
Thanks, Reagan.
It's like how General Grievous is hyped up and then he dies in like 2 minutes.
It's not like
It's really
that.
epic when you're not thinking about how quickly he dies.
Well, all fights, nearly any duel or one-on-one fight's going to be quick.
I
Okay.
know, but it is. I think the framing for this, there are a couple of weird things that threw me off about how Tolkien
Okay. Let's hear it.
describes
Let's
this.
hear it.
There is an odd lack of commas, especially in the third paragraph of the chapter. He enters into a couple of run-on sentences when Sam goes up to fight. Um, he also enters into Shelob's point of view instead of Sam's point of view, which is a little bit interesting.
Hmm.
But like the third paragraph of the chapter, disturbed as if out of some gloating dream by his small yell, she turned slowly the dreadful malice of her glance upon him. But almost before she was aware that a fury was upon her greater than any she had known in countless years, the shining sword bit upon her foot and shore away the claw. Like even in that, there are at least 3 commas that are missing that should be there. It's he changed. I guess he changed some of the style of his writing to more appropriately indicate what the mindset is, I guess. But it was a very odd break for how Tolkien usually writes. Even in the second paragraph, he's spacing his thoughts normally.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think we see more things kind of like that in Return of the King
Okay.
from time to time, where there's like a bit more action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it. I think it's a stylistic choice. I'm pretty sure it's intentional.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I would imagine.
that's an interesting part of the framing. The other thing that got me was just there's this odd emphasis where Sam cuts Sheila in the stomach, and then there's this whole like half paragraph where it says Sheila's stomach was invincible. She's incredibly strong. The sword didn't do anything. And then she immediately drops on him, and his sword goes right through her stomach, and she stabs herself. And
Yeah.
so there's an awful lot of buildup on how tough she is, only to immediately have that taken away, which is odd. It makes sense for a dramatic point of view for there to be an explanatory little piece about her being tough, but then you would think there would be at least a couple of things that happen and then she falls to a weakness. Whereas it's very immediate, like, she's
Yeah.
very strong, and then, well, she's kind of an idiot and stabbed herself. She didn't expect that. So that was that threw me off a little bit, just in terms of like how quickly that pace moves.
I can understand that.
Yeah, it's fine. Other than that, like it's fine as a way to write. It was just not really what I was anticipating going in.
Sure.
It's Grievous
Okay.
walks towards you with 4 arms, and then he has no arms and gets shot. That's how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I think. Well,
Defend
we
it
should talk about Star Wars some other time. But
one day.
for this, like, Tolkien doesn't like linger even like in a siege battle or battlefield much longer than he considers necessary.
Yeah.
And for this, he can quickly tell you, "Hey, you can't normally get through this."
Yeah.
And then fate smiled upon Sam. Sam didn't have like a plan to do this. He just got lucky, you know. So I can understand like feeling kind of, that's strange. It's so fast, but I think it would have felt just as stranger if you just have he hit her belly again, nothing happened, you know, like what else are you gonna do?
Yeah. And Tolkien is not really one to spend a lot of description in battle. It doesn't seem, from
Yeah.
other things that we've read anyway. So I probably shouldn't be as surprised as I am. I was just expecting a little more from that.
Yeah. No, I do understand what you're saying. You know, if Sheila was the main villain, this would be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, whoa, we found out she has a weakness. Oh, she just killed herself.
That's a
Yeah.
little silly. I guess if I had been writing it, which I'm a terrible writer, and there's a reason I don't do it, um, because one of the things Sam does, there are like 3 moments in the battle that are important.
Mhm.
One is he takes out one of her eyes. Two
Yeah.
is he slashes her across the stomach and it doesn't do anything. And three is she impales herself on his sword accidentally. It would make sense if he ran in and cut her across the stomach. It didn't do anything. He backs up. She moves forward. He pokes her in the eye. And then she, knowing that her stomach is invulnerable, goes on top of him and tries to squish him, to
Oh,
which he accidentally crushes, or he accidentally stabs her. And that seems like it could be a natural flow of things, as well as spacing out the weakness and such like that. But
I see.
one man wrote Lord of the Rings, and one man is here trying to tell him how to do it better. So take that for what you will.
That's not a bad suggestion from you.
Let's go. Oh well, I'm glad we have that qualifier on there. Oh my. So yes. So there's this moment where after she kind of dives onto his sword accidentally, hurts herself pretty badly. Neither of them are really sure what to do from there. Sheila has never been in a fight where she's really been hurt, and Sam has never really been in a fight. And so there's like there's the imbalance of how do we react to that. And
Well, I think the thing that has Sam more torn is like does not know what he should do about Frodo.
mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
Well, and it was mad stinky under there.
It was. It almost overwhelmed him, but he was okay for a moment. Um, yeah, he also remembers he has the light from the elves, and so he
Mhm.
eventually calls on that. And it seems like the act of calling on the elves reminds him of how to call on the elves, and he says something in Elvish, and it works. I don't know what he says in Elvish.
Yeah,
Do you know?
I do ish. Yeah. Uh, Elbereth is basically the queen of the gods. Uh, the stars are hers, and so the elves love her especially. Elbereth is one of her names, and Fanulios is another one of her names.
Ah, so that's the same person.
Yeah, yeah. I think Gathaniel Elbereth means just like Queen of the Stars or something.
Okay. And there's something else in there.
Mhm.
He it is interesting that Sam is using Elvish. It's also interesting that Sam doesn't know what he's saying, or
Right.
he's just kind of repeating something. I guess. Is I guess it doesn't really
I
say
think
here.
it's sort of like divine intervention. Like Sam does the best he can do, Gilthamiel Elbereth, which he's heard before, and then a greater power, because there's power in names, a greater power lets him draw upon this divine strength
Mhm.
to kind of channel divinity against this nasty spider demon.
Yeah, and even in that, it is striking that him saying that doesn't turn the light on. Him saying that allows him to stand up, and it's him
Yes,
standing up and just yelling at Sheila because he doesn't like her that actually turns the light on. And so
man.
the inspiration is not so much because he is uh, invoking the gods directly. It's because he's decided to stand up and do something about it, and that's impressive. Good for his
Yeah,
character.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and after this, Sheila runs away. What happened to her?
None can
Big,
say.
big cliffhanger. That is not this story, and Frodo just kind of pivots off of it to talk about something else instead. Do you have
Um,
anything else through that opening? The section where Shelob is actually present.
it's it'd be neat to compare this or come back and read this after you. There's like some more like dramatic battle scenes in like the Silmarillion where someone's going up against a dragon or a god or things like that. And this section is, I think, part of the style change that you noticed. I hadn't really thought about this till you mentioned it. Is he's sort of like speaking in a way reminiscent of that style?
Hmm.
Yeah, like this is more. I don't know the right terms. It's not
Beowulfy.
as like, yeah, it's not as much as like the Silmarillion, for instance, but it is kind of touching on some of that.
Like a more epic or mythic kind of thing.
Yeah, there are a couple times when it's more like that,
Okay.
like especially the cadence in the paragraph that begins, but Shelob was not as dragons are. And there's a couple other things like that.
Interesting. The Old
One
English
thing,
awakes.
oh, yeah, it's like, ah, there you are, Tolkien. It's his, yeah, what you see with Sam calling on Elbereth, um, this something you see over and over in Christianity is the important overlap of people taking the first step to do things and then relying on God
Mm-hmm.
to see you through. Um, Sam was able to defeat Shelob because he was Well, part of it's brave. Um, there's that paragraph at the beginning. He said, "Didn't stop to wonder if he was brave or loyal or filled with rage." It's probably all three of those. But he's a brave person, and that puts him in the position where he can be lucky. And in Lord of the Rings, luck is much more likely to be providential.
It is his character that puts him there. If he was not willing to step forward,
Yeah.
Shelob would definitely eat Frodo. If he's not willing to keep the fight going, then Shelob will definitely also eat Frodo. So
Yeah.
yes, it is very much him, and he does draw from the stronger power. There is no shame in that. I
Yeah.
don't think it's. I mean, the elves all throughout the second half of the Two Towers, the elves have been helping these hobbits pretty much every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the combined effort of all these different forces together that
Yeah.
that make it work. Um, to do the Christianity parallel even further, I mean, it's an allegory, obviously, but uh, God works through people and with people. He could do everything by himself, but he's not going to, because if you don't get involved in it, then what's the point? It doesn't benefit you anything. So if Sam doesn't step up here, there's no real benefit. He doesn't win in the end. If we don't step up and do our part, then we're also not going to win. We're also not going to accomplish anything. So there's that same kind of idea as well.
Yeah. Definitely.
It
I
is. Yeah.
oh oh sorry, you had something?
No, you go ahead. I was going to move on, but
Yeah. One thing I would be remiss not to mention is Sam is being sort of compared to some of the greatest warriors um, in the Silmarillion. Um, there's that mention that even if Sam had like the best sword that any elf or dwarf could make, and even if it wasn't Sam and it was Baron or Turin, no, none of their strength would be able to get through Shelob. It's this lucky break of Shelob trying to crush a tiny little guy who gives him that opening. But the I won't talk about this too much since you have no point of reference for this. But Turin is one of the most ridiculously tragic characters in the Silmarillion. Um, and one of the things he does is he ends up choosing despair and rage at a couple important moments in his life that just makes things a lot worse in his story. And I think that's interesting because Sam is very despairing right after this, but he has the brave thing to, even though he's not very impressive or very smart necessarily, he chooses to like keep his will under his control and do the best that he can do. So that's I think that's interesting. Like if you've read the Silmarillion, you should look more into that. It's kind of cool.
there's a specific mention of Sam that he thought about going forward out of vengeance, and then decided that literally wasn't
Yeah.
worthwhile, is what it
I
says.
think that's a direct,
Okay.
that's a pretty clear comparison to old Turin.
Very interesting. Well, I too have read The Children of Turin, so I'm
Oh, you
aware.
have?
Well, I read The Children of Hurin once back in the day.
Okay, yeah.
That's it. I don't remember it at all.
Okay, yeah. That is the that's the part I'm talking about.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I don't
All right.
I don't remember
That's
it.
all I got for that section. Yeah.
Cool. I was around when The Children of Hurin released.
Oh.
I was like, oh, one of my friends back where I grew up was recommended it to me, and so I read it to say I read it, but I don't remember it at all. Sorry, Joel. If you ever hear that, whoops. I'm sure it was good. So it's after this that Sam has freed Frodo, and now that he has freed Frodo, he realizes Frodo won't wake up. Frodo is dead, apparently. spoiler alert, he's not actually, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows. But if you didn't know that, well, should have read the book first. It's he's dead. He's presumed dead for a whole 8 pages or something like that,
Yeah.
which gives Sam some very important time for self-reflection. But the book is less about, oh, Frodo has died, and more about, oh, this is a really bad situation these two hobbits are in. So the book thankfully doesn't drag out that illusion for too long.
Mhm.
Um, there is a flashback as Frodo's not waking up. There's this flashback to the Mirror of Galadriel and Sam seeing Frodo, and he thought he was asleep, and now Sam realizes that Frodo is dead. I don't remember that at all from the Mirror of Galadriel, so I'm sure
It is there.
it
Yeah.
is, yeah, I'm sure it's there because we've said several times Tolkien wrote all of this thing and then like ended up releasing it after it was all done. So I'm sure it's in there, but I have no recollection of it. Um, there's a Sam sleeps for a while because when you're sad, you go to sleep, and then he wakes up, and Frodo is still dead, allegedly. But there's a cool paragraph there about how life goes on anyway. Um, he was still in the same place, still his master lay beside him dead. The mountains had not crumbled, nor had the earth fallen into ruin,
Yeah. Oof.
which is striking.
Yes, it is.
Frodo is dead and life goes on. That's kind of depressing sometimes, especially for Sam here, but that is how life goes. Terrible things happen, and then that's just how life is. There's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is move on and do something worthwhile. So Sam starts debating and has this internal kind of back and forth between what should he do and why should he do it. Should I go for vengeance against Gollum? No, probably not. Even though
Yeah.
very reasonable, but I probably shouldn't do that. Um, and then he starts debating on what should he do with the ring, which ends up being, I guess, probably his key motivation in this, in what he decides to do is, what do I do with the ring? And he starts to have this internal monologue about it.
Yeah.
What do
What's
you?
his motivation there?
What was that?
You said what's his motivation there?
No, I think his key motivation ends up being the ring, um, and that he
Yeah,
has a
the
responsibility to it.
yeah.
What do you think? So it seems like he has this conversation with himself, and then he's getting answers from this conversation. I think it's just a way to talk about him, like recalling what he knows the right answer is. Uh, is that the is that how that's supposed to be read?
Yeah. Um, what's an example of a part of
Um,
this kind of weird?
Me take the ring from him, the council gave it to him, but the answer came at once, and the council gave him companions so that the errand might not fail, or whatever
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
Okay, yeah. I think you're right. Yeah.
Um, what do you think about that conversation? Because Sam seems to be asking the question if he is, am I fit to replace Frodo
That's right. Yeah.
as the ring bearer? And I think the conclusion is no, but then somebody has to do it anyway. Is that correct? How do you take that?
I think I think that's right. It's moments like these. In some ways, it's sort of like the end of Fellowship of the Ring a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, because apparently Tolkien's conclusion there is like that's providential. You know, that's sort of frustrating to me in
Yeah.
that case. I think there probably was a better explanation or way to handle that, or a couple more layers to look at perhaps. But here, Sam could do this. Like he does take the ring for a time, and he's adequate as a ring bearer.
Mhm.
But I remember there are several occasions, like people like Gandalf, Elrond, and Galadriel tell Frodo, "This is yours." And these really smart people who are in touch with the divine powers say, I really think you were meant to have this. Um, it's it's sort of um, like when what Sam's going through is, man, I'm about to dive off the deep end here, but I'm trying not to be too long here. Sam is very hopeless. Um, and apart from other things we'll talk about with this, something that reminds me of. Okay, let me start over one more time. I have too much buzzing around here. We know Frodo's not dead, right?
Yes.
So you can see the plan of the great god Eru Iluvatar, at work in the background here. Like Frodo's going to take this to Mount Doom. Um, that's the ultimate answer to all of Sam's conclusion. But since Sam thinks Frodo is dead, here's the diving off the deep end thing. It's sort of like, you know, Abraham, when God promises, here, you're going to have all this amazing blessings through your son. And Abraham's like, what son? What? um, that's like a very dark and confusing place to be. And ultimately, Sam reaches, I think, the right way to advance, which is just doing the best you can. But ultimately, he's going to find, oh, the solution was way better than I ever thought. Frodo is not dead, as he does discover by the end of this chapter.
Yeah. It is. I guess there's kind of a similarity. A lot of this chapter seems to call back to prior chapters from Fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Frodo had the same kind of hang up that he's not really fit to be the guy to take it,
Yeah,
but somebody has to do it, and so he ends up volunteering because someone has to do it. Um, and Sam has that same thought process. So I'd almost argue Sam is kind of fit to replace Frodo as the bearer because
yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah.
he's thinking about it in the same way. Um, and I don't
I
know
think
that.
that's very
Yeah, Sam clearly when he's taking the ring, he's not like the Boromir type who wanted it to want to have it.
yeah, yeah,
He is he's literally saying, "Well, I don't have anything else I can do. Like, if I don't take it, then the orcs get it, and that's not good."
yeah.
Um, so the only option, the only available option, is for me to take it. There's an obligation there instead of a want, which I think is part of why Sam can take it with minimal to no consequence.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right on the money.
Okay,
Yeah.
because when he puts it on and he feels very burdened by it, but then that kind of dissipates and he's able to get up and go and work with it, because he doesn't have the desire for the evil thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very sad at the end of all that when when Sam takes the ring off of Frodo and Frodo doesn't respond, and that's the moment that says, what's the quote? Like that indicated to Sam above anything else that Frodo was dead. That's really sad. That's messed up.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
yeah.
By that, more than
Just
all the other tokens, Sam was convinced Frodo had died.
yeah. Just because that shows just how much the ring has begun to grow on Frodo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
yeah. That is rough.
there's never been an instance where someone else has been allowed to take it, and so
Yeah,
there's a that's slightly depressing,
it is.
unfortunate. There's also a line here that's interesting. That as Sam stands up, he has his like little elvish light thing on, and as it shines on Frodo's face, Frodo looks very elvish in death.
Mhm.
which is curious. And I wonder if that, I don't really know how the Grey Havens work, but I feel like that's maybe a little bit of a foreshadow in this
Oh, yeah,
because
I'd buy that. I'd buy that.
the Grey Havens are where the elves go, and Frodo's going to end up being inducted in there and allowed to go there, along with, I think Bilbo goes as well, and Gandalf, who are all very elvish in influence, and they've all had experiences around the ring as well. And so there's a kind of a little sign there that foreshadowing is a narrative device that allows you to see what's coming in the future.
Sure enough. No, I would buy that. Yeah.
Very cool. Then we're about halfway through the chapter. The rest of this is Sam presses on a few feet, finds the orc tower, and then overhears the orc conversation. Um, where do you want to go with it? Like, what is interesting here out of the orc stuff, or out of how Sam reacts to the orc stuff?
Um, I think I have more for afterward. Um,
Oh, for the very end.
yeah, I guess like with the orc conversation, it's foreshadowing the solution to the problem of a well-guarded tower.
Mm-hmm.
There's already seeds of contention here.
Yeah, because I think I missed this, or maybe it was just like kind of the subtext. You got two main orcs,
Yeah.
Gorbag and Shagrat. Shagrat is stationed at Cirith Ungol, and Gorbag is at least doing some service down in Minas Morgul. Is that the bit?
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
on
So
like
so Gorbag's from the more important city.
Mhm.
But he's not in charge of Minas Morgul. Shagrat's from this dinky tower, but he's in charge of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
but Gorbag says, I believe, that someone of great importance said they saw someone skulking around. And so he's come up the stairs, kind of looking around.
Yeah, there were some orders from the big ones, or what do they call it? The High Wraith? Is that what his name is? The High Nazgul.
They say something like that.
Um,
Yeah.
Interesting to see slightly different titles used by different peoples. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
the something happened to worry the Ringwraiths about something in Shelob's area, and so they've sent scouts out. And the reason Shagrat and the other Uruks, I guess technically, are on patrol is because they received a message that said, "Hey, we think there are spies in Shelob's area. Go check it out."
Yeah.
Um, so they did find Frodo's corpse, which isn't a corpse, and that is revealed in the course of the conversation. Um, Gorbag also realizes, the fact that Shelob stabbed this guy and then ran away from him means there was somebody else.
Yep.
Um, you've let the more threatening warrior out. That doesn't seem like a good idea.
And Gorbag kind of keeps talking about this the whole time.
Yeah, he's kind of just ragging on him the whole time.
He's like, there's a warrior here. Are you dumb?
Yeah.
This is scary. This is a problem.
How could he have gotten past you without being seen? How can he still
Yeah.
be out here?
And this adds like it's just a lot of fun to read this part, I guess is the best way to say it. Um, it's neat seeing people who have no idea what's going on try to piece together things.
Mhm.
And also, it's fun seeing how wrong they are, and also kind of gratifying to Sam,
Yeah.
or for my part, on Sam's behalf. Like, yeah, Sam, you are awesome. You are this great warrior that orcs should be afraid of. Sort of.
By accident, yes.
Yes.
Right. It is Shelob got injured and ran away. So there must be this
Mhm.
terrifying warrior. Shelob kind of injured herself because
Yeah.
not that she was an idiot, but she underestimated who Sam was.
Yeah.
And Sam also underestimated who he was because it was all an accident that it happened. So yeah, they are kind of right and also kind of wrong, but
Yeah.
they know there's someone else around.
Mhm.
The reason that they haven't seen him is Sam decided to put on the ring, which is halfway really smart because invisibility, very cool, and it's halfway really dumb because it's Sauron's land. This it seems like a bad idea to put on the ring here.
Sure, sure.
Um, and I do like that there's a line about how Sam didn't feel invisible; he felt very visible because he is um,
Hmm.
present in the land with all these terrible things around him. So there is some kind of recognition of that. Um, at the same time, it doesn't seem like there's a massive downside to wearing the ring here. And maybe we just haven't gotten to it yet. Maybe
Yeah.
it shows up more in Return of the King.
I think there's an implication it's making Sam more fearful
Okay.
than he would otherwise be. Uh, but this is the first time he's ever done it.
Yes.
So even in Mordor, Sam is Sam. It's going to take a little while for it to really, really affect him and maybe give off its signal, you might say.
Yeah. And I believe the reason for giving a hobbit the ring in the first place was beings of very little power are less affected, or something like that.
Basically, yeah.
Um, so it does make sense. He's not a great elfish warrior. If he was, he would be taken over way earlier than this.
Yeah.
There may be some implication that the ring is also making him really tired,
Yeah.
because it seems I may have missed a line somewhere. Does Sam wear the ring for the rest of the chapter?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's all in the ring, and there's a lot about him, like he's tired, his legs are giving out, he's not ready, he's not able to catch up to the orcs, or he underestimates all sorts of different things. So the ring is doing some amount of weird things to him. I'm just not exactly sure what all of those are.
Yeah.
Um, one of them is he can hear really well.
Yeah. But can't see so great.
Yeah, so that's curious. Also, we have kind of a description of the Wraith world, I guess. I think that's what Shadow of Mordor calls it, so that's what I call it too.
It works.
Have I can't remember. Have we seen a description of the Wraith world before? Maybe we saw one at Weathertop a little bit, but other than that, I don't.
There's like a little bit um, when Frodo uses it maybe on Weathertop.
Okay, but that's it.
Yeah, I don't think we've had a very in-depth sort of description.
Yeah. And even on Weathertop, I believe the description was more about how the wraiths looked
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
than he puts it on and everything goes kind of wispy and kind of weird.
Yeah.
So at least when I was reading this earlier this morning, I was like, well, this seems kind of like a fresh thing for us as a reader. Is we haven't really seen this before. I guess I'm used to the depiction from the movies, but then I read a passage and I'm like, oh yeah, that's where the movies get it from, is that kind of depiction of what it looks like on the other side. So there's that. Let's see. Sam has moments here where he considers attacking the orcs. He finds that the orcs go through a secret passage through the rocks, and so he ends up listening to them more than attacking them. That's how he hears all about Sauron and the Nazgul and Shelob, and how Shelob actually keeps her victims alive so she can eat them fresh, which means Frodo is presumably alive. Oh, that's probably not good. And he goes to try and chase after them, but they end up getting in the fortress before he can make it to the open door. So, Frodo isn't dead, but Sam is now, well, Sam is about to be knocked out. But you said you may have a couple of thoughts here towards the end.
Yeah. One of them is it's a question. We moved past the opportune time to ask that because I forgot.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I'll
you're
come
fine.
back to that in a minute. We were talking about how Sam's the right guy to have the ring. There's interesting contradiction, I guess I'll say. Once Sam realizes that Frodo is alive, unlike Aragorn or Frodo, who may have just sat by themselves in utter despair and turmoil trying to figure out the right decision, Should I help my friends or try to destroy the ring? I can imagine Aragorn or Frodo thinking very carefully about that in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Sam says, I gotta rescue Frodo. I can't do anything else.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I didn't really. I
Okay.
just kind of took it as given. Um, but
Yeah,
that
and I guess
is,
that makes sense from Sam. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, well, I have a tendency to read a lot of stories and then just kind of like read what's there and then say, oh yeah, that's how it works. So a lot of times some of those comparisons pass me by. But it was at the end of Fellowship that Aragorn was struggling to make a decision on which way to go, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Two Towers starts with him kind of being pushed to go one direction, and so he says, "Okay, the the choice isn't mine anymore, so I don't have to deal with that."
That's the
Um,
solution. Yeah.
so, yeah, I do think there is quite a bit about Sam's indecision because he does sit by Frodo for a while, and he goes to sleep for a while, and then he comes back and he sits by Frodo for a while, and he thinks about leaving, but then he can't, and he sits by Frodo for a while, and so I think there is a bit of that built in, but at least we see Sam come to a pretty clear decision and then move out of the way and know what he's going to do. So he does dedicate himself to a path ultimately, which is what Aragorn didn't do and what Frodo kind of didn't do. Um,
Sure.
so yeah, part of it is I think it's partly because of it's just because of who Sam is. He has a lot here about this is his master. It's his place to be by his master's side. And so
Mhm.
if his master is around, then I must go find him. And if the quest fails, then that's unfortunate. But I've got bigger things at stake than the quest. I wonder if it comes back to the idea that we've talked about in previous episodes about um, like keeping oaths, kind of.
Yeah.
Because Sam's primary oath would be to Frodo
Ooh,
instead
he's
of
the one
Elrond.
exception who's made a promise. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So that I
And I
think
think
that might
I think
factor
you
in.
can say there's two things here.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Sam is sworn to Frodo instead of specifically bringing the ring to Mordor makes him a bad ring bearer in terms of like priority, if that makes sense.
Fair.
But providentially, I'm just going to keep bringing that up the further we get into the book. Turns out to be a wonderfully wonderful decision to make.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
does end up being the right call. And it is interesting. My mother is sending me pictures of random electronics halfway across the country to try and find out what it is. Like, you have an internet, but okay. Um, so there's an interesting conversation here near the end where Sam kind of debates, even in his head. Your heart knew that Frodo isn't dead, so you shouldn't have trusted your head. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, if he didn't trust his head, take the ring, and get out of the way, then he would be a captive too.
Yeah, I think
So,
that's true. They
so
weren't really. Sam was great against the spider, like for sure. But I think you're right. They would have both got captured if Sam hadn't got out of the way.
yeah. So as much as he wants to say your head is unreliable, it is also very useful.
Yeah,
He's more capable than he gives himself credit for being.
definitely.
Um, but I think part of that capability is generally found in his dedication to his master, because he knows, like, even even if you can um, think for yourself and be in charge and do all these things by yourself, sometimes you are better off swearing yourself to someone else and following instead of trying to lead. Even if you can, sometimes it's just better for you and for those around you if you just follow after someone else you know is intelligent. So
Mhm.
I don't think he's not incapable, but he does recognize there is a natural order to these things, and there's usefulness in following that order.
Yeah,
So it's the combination of both that keeps him alive and puts him in a place to ultimately deliver Frodo, and then
yeah,
place himself back under Frodo's control.
sure, sure.
So
Yeah, I
there's
think that's a good way to say it.
just an interesting thing there.
Okay. I got one more thing
Yeah.
to invite you to think about with me.
No.
It's a little paragraph. Oh, thanks. That's probably the right answer, actually. That's fine.
Well, go ahead.
It's the paragraph right after Sam is contemplating vengeance.
Hmm.
It's like Sam's darkest moment with his thoughts. He has the courage and sense to know it'd be useless to go dedicate himself to killing Gollum, but the immediate solution to that would he wishes both. I think he's saying he wishes that both he and Frodo were dead, so he didn't have to make a tough decision here. I think that's what he's saying. You see that at the end of the Golem paragraph?
Hmm.
They had better both be dead together.
Yeah.
There's a small contention between readers of Lord of the Rings as to what the next paragraph means, where Sam looks on the point of his sword, and if he's thinking about this brink behind the sword, is that like death, or is it a chasm, or like a chasm out of Mordor?
Hmm.
Like, and the implication would be: is Sam being suicidal, or is he, or contemplating that rather, to be more precise, or is he contemplating just leaving?
Well, it talks about an empty fall into nothingness, so I would assume that is back over the cliff. And that seems to carry a connotation of death, not so much retreat. Um,
Sure enough, yeah.
but
Hmm.
whether or not I'm undecided on the two people being dead. It may be Frodo and Gollum. Like if Frodo's gonna die,
Yeah,
at least kill Gollum as well. But then that's
I
still a
think
lonely thing. So like,
yeah,
there's no real point in that.
I think that's a fair way to read that too.
Yeah. But
That might actually make more sense.
either way, it's he can he can try and retreat. There's a line in here somewhere as well, about how I wonder if they would sing a song about me as I go and take on all the orcs. And then he remembers there would be no songs if I take on the orcs, I die, and then everything else dies as well.
Yeah,
So I would, yeah, I'm not opposed to the idea of your best friend and your master and your quest have all just died. You are alone in the midst of the middle of this land of darkness with the great evil lord who's right over the hill, and
yeah,
you have nothing to do. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a little contemplation there about if life is even worth living.
sure.
And props to him because he says, what should I do? Well, finish the job because that's what
Yeah,
needs to be done.
yeah. This things are sort of going to be look worse once they get into Mordor together.
Yep.
But this is definitely what Sam's most heroic moment is. In such doubt and confusion, he chooses to do the brave and heroic thing of staying alive and doing the best he can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. There is the moment where it looks very tempting never ends up working out. I think is
yeah,
safe to say. And so Sam, once he solidifies and makes his choice, then everything becomes simpler because he knows what he's going to do. Um, and then he's alive to effect change, and it ends up he's the only one who could save Frodo. And so
yeah,
there are blessings there that he doesn't even think about when he
exactly.
decides that no, it's worth doing the job, whatever that ends up
Mhm.
taking.
And most of it, in terms of us being patient and trusting, is most of these solutions or things. It's actually impossible for Sam to tell right in the moment. He has
Mm-hmm.
to wait to find answers to his problem. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's something there.
And even when you get to the end of the book, the problems are not solved. In fact,
Yeah,
the problems are pretty massive.
yeah,
Um, but at least he's able to try something, even if it
yeah.
is just headbutting a gate.
Hey,
Unfortunate.
you got to start somewhere.
That was
I
maybe
got
not the
it.
place to start, but yeah.
Yeah, I got to bring up one more connection
Sure.
to Turin here. At the end of Turin's very,
Are you
very,
are you
very,
saying Turin,
yeah,
not Hurin?
yeah, Turin is son of Hurin.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay. Very cool.
yeah, nice and
I don't
convenient.
remember that.
But
Excellent. Tolkien and
at
his
the end of
naming.
Turin's very, very, very tragic life, he has this amazing dragon killing sword. Um, and he's just found out something terrible, um, that he has ruined his family's life and got a bunch of friends killed. And then he looks down at this sword that he's killed so many people with, and the sword says, "I can do you a favor and kill you too." And then he jumps on his sword. So
That's baller. I should
it's,
read
yeah,
this.
it's rough. It's rough,
I would
but
imagine so.
that's another thing that I think, because Tolkien wrote those stories before he ever wrote Lord of the Rings,
Mm-hmm.
and Sam is, he's just a simple farmer. There's a lot of important differences between Sam and Turin, but the most important one is what they choose to do.
Yeah,
And I think Tolkien might be drawing some sort of comparison there.
I would believe probably so,
Yeah.
but I would have to read it. Is that in
Yes.
the Silmarillion, or is that
Silmarillion has a little bit.
okay?
The Children of Hurin has the more like a fleshed out version.
Okay,
Yeah.
very interesting. Well, I've read
Indeed.
both to say I've read both, and that's where that ends. All right, then I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Frodo is alive but taken by the enemy. See you next week. I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, that's how the book ends.
There you
Sam
go.
senseless, Frodo captured. Tune in next time for Return of the King.
Oh, last question about this.
Oh yeah, go
This
ahead.
is we have not had a reference back to Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli for a little bit. Do you
Yeah.
know when this takes place in their timeline?
It's a couple. This is like a day or two after Gandalf and Pippin make it to Minas Tirith.
Okay.
Because I think the first or second night Gandalf and Pippin are in the city, they see that huge light go off in Minas Morgul.
Okay. Oh, which is the summoning for the army to come out.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is slightly after. This is like the first couple chapters of Return of the King.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means the movie was right when they put it in the Return of the King.
Well, yeah, if you're doing cuts like that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
very cool. Okay, so that's when that takes place. So next time we will be, next time we get to the book stuff, we will be picking up Return of the King Chapter 1. In the interim, to give a little bit of a break from reading so much and actually using your brain, we're going to, next week, depending on how it works out, it may be one episode next week, it may be the next couple of episodes that come out. We're going to watch the film Master and Commander, the
Yes,
Far Side of the World. Is that what the subtitle is?
that's right. Yeah.
I have seen it once. Andrew showed it to me once several years ago, and I don't remember like any of the basic plot of it. But I feel like it was good, so I own a copy. It's on my shelf, but I haven't watched it in a while. So we're going to watch through that and then chat about some of the things in there.
Do you know what's interesting?
No,
Is oh, thanks.
no, I don't
The,
know what's
the
interesting. Inform
this
me.
movie came out like around the same time. I think the same year as Return of the King. Actually,
Really? Is it that old?
yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
And I
So we could
think
watch
people are
this
right.
instead of Return of the King, and
I
then
think that I just think that's kind of funny. And film nerds, I think they're right about this, say that Return of the King robbed Master and Commander of some like attention and awards because the movie is like really well done. Yeah,
yeah,
but it came out at the same time as Return of the King.
interesting. Did not
Yeah.
know. So yeah, we'll be watching that and then chat about it and see
So
what's
we're
in
giving
there.
this movie the attention it deserves by waiting on Return of the King. It's kind of fun.
Apparently, apparently so. So that'll be next week, or however exactly that scheduling works out, and we will see you all then.